I agree. Everyone needs a place to live. That's why we should significantly lower the price of real estate to give everybody a place to live. And we should use, if we're gonna, if we should not collateralize real estate, right? Which is what we've done. We've added a monetary premium onto real estate in order to turn it into a financial asset when it should be a utility. Because I agree, everyone in the world should have a roof over their head, and we have the technology today to give everyone in the world a roof over their head, but we're not allowed to bring it out there because we would ruin the financial value of the asset that of this behemoth asset that we've created. And real estate is a behemoth asset because it allows governments to control the value of their wealth within their borders, because you can't just pick up real estate and be gone. So Bitcoin taking the monetary premium out of real estate actually is good for the world. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But it is good for the world if the monetary premium of real estate is drained and all of that is put into Bitcoin, because then Bitcoin is infinitely scalable, movable all around the world. And then you can go back to allowing people to actually live a happy life and put a roof over their heads and their children's heads.
Yeah, I fully agree. That this whole reasoning, again, that gets back to the optimist versus pessimistic worldview, that if we want real estate, it's like, yeah, sure, okay, you could say real estate's more valuable because everyone needs to live in it. But it's like, my perspective would be oxygen is even more valuable, right? Without housing, you die in 6 months when winter comes. Without oxygen, you die in 3 minutes, right? And so it's like there's no monetary premium to oxygen. There's no monetary premium to water, or at least maybe slightly more than oxygen. But it's like we should want everyone to have housing. We should want the premium to be drained. We should want Bitcoin's market cap to far and away exceed real estate. And so,
in, in
okay,
essence, in essence, and this is my same argument with shitcoins. It's like anything that has a utility attached to it, based on normal capital markets and capitalism, the price of it should be trending towards zero. Because the more people that use it, the more people that utilize it, the more economies of scale you should be able to get on printing it. The only reason the value of properties goes up, it's because it's a financialized asset. It is more than a utility. It is a store of value. And all I'm saying is, now that we have the best store of value, we should probably use that for its main purpose, and utilize and stop trying to, in essence, what you're doing is you're creating a Frankenstein asset, which is what real estate is. It's a Frankenstein asset because it should be a utility. It's a house, right? But we've turned it into a financial asset in order to store the inflation somewhere.
yep, yep. Oh, when I talk about that we're living in the ancient world, that's exactly what I mean. We're in this ancient world where we're using olive oil and rocks and oxen and goats and like cheese is like our store of value, like the Roman days, except we're doing it with houses and government debt and shiny rocks from the ground, gold, copper, silver, tin, whatever, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, so $47 million if Bitcoin's market cap is 3x that of real estate. And you bringing that reminds me of a video I made recently of this $500 million Bitcoin, and I broke down the math that I talked a lot about the multiplier, like we've been talking about in this video, how market cap's downstream of price and all that. And of course, the specific number here, 510,714,000, is a 10.75 quadrillion Bitcoin. And so I guess leading into the question of, do you think even a $1 quadrillion eventually in nominal terms is, I don't want to say bearish because that's really, really bullish. But I mean, my thought is that, okay, British, what if, 300 trillion of real estate? What if in the next, let's say 50 years, our lifetimes, we double the amount of housing in the world, just theoretically, and then we quadruple the amount of dollars and fiat currency units we have printed? And then what if Bitcoin is not just 3 times that, but like 5 times that? I mean, it's like, when I think about it, it's like even what you're saying, as you said earlier, it might sound crazy to people. I just think about it, and it seems like even that in the right time horizon becomes not fully encapsulating of the opportunity here.
Yeah, because it's hard to quantify the upside of Bitcoin on final terms, because it's hard to quantify the downside of the US dollar on final terms. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, as we wrap up here, I think we've covered all the major points. I mean, what would be your final message to people when it comes to getting that one coin or getting that stacking goal? Maybe it's more than a coin. Maybe it's less than, whatever it is, as close, as high, as much as possible. What would be your emphasis? What would be your emphasis for that?
get to one Bitcoin. That's it. Everyone should put their focus on getting to one Bitcoin. Everyone should put their focus on understanding the asset. Everyone should stop trying to sell themselves the lie that they can't do it and figure out how to do it. There's people in the world that in this bear market, and I know because they send me DMs all the time, that have gotten to one Bitcoin because someone lit a fire under their ass and they managed to do it, right? That's it. My goal, on YouTube, again, like I said, already said, I won't be here for long because firstly, I won't need to be. Secondly, the message is going to run out of value because right now you can get to one Bitcoin. In 10 years, the only people that can get to one Bitcoin will be the people that are being advised by people like BlackRock. So, uh, look, get to one Bitcoin, follow the 3 rules of Bitcoin as I keep fucking trying to drum into people's heads. Just step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy, because only when you do that will you have the right to an opinion in your future. If you think, like I said, you're going to buy 0.0 whatever Bitcoin and think that you're going to be this important person in the future, you're not. Because unfortunately, as much as, we want to talk about how special Bitcoin is in a capital driven environment, the percentage of capital that you own influences the power that you have. And if you don't have enough Bitcoin, your opinion will be as irrelevant today or as irrelevant then as it is today. So your focus should be on getting and accumulating as much Bitcoin as possible so that you and your children have an opinion in the future. Stop wasting time.
I'm glad that you're taking the time to learn about Bitcoin, learn about Bitcoin's potential future value, both in terms of political currency units and on society as a whole. And I'm really glad that you're taking the effort to study and educate yourself about Bitcoin. However, I must make this message incredibly clear. If you are learning about Bitcoin, you must begin also learning about self-custody and taking possession of your own keys. This is really, really important. You can watch as many YouTube videos as you want, talking about how Bitcoin is going to skyrocket in fiat price and how the number is going to go up. You can talk about that all you want. You can daydream about this kind of vertical spike action for Bitcoin. You can daydream about this all you want. But my encouragement to you is that this is not a meme. This is not something to be taken lightly. We can think that this is a good thing, and it is a good thing ultimately for Bitcoin's long-term adoption, but this is real. Okay, this really happens in countries. It may not happen in your country for some time. It may happen in a stair-step fashion, but this is not a meme. This is not a joke. And so, therefore, you need to take self-custody really, really seriously. Okay. I work full-time in self-custody solutions for people. I help people set up their multi-sig vaults. I help people set up their estate plans. I help people with a collaborative custody partnership and collaborative custody models. Okay. This is a chart of the amount of interest we have at the Bitcoin Advisor, the company I work at. Okay. This is not me personally. This is the whole company. We've been in business 7 years. Not a single client of ours has ever lost a single sat. Okay. And we have a good number of clients. And this is our demand. My point in showing you this chart, my point in showing you this message right now is that it is increasingly urgent, increasingly important that you begin taking self-custody very seriously. I'm telling you, I'm on the inside of this all day, every day, 6 days a week, and demand for self-custody is skyrocketing, okay? The kinds of clients we have, the number of clients we have, the conviction in the clients we have, it is only going up, okay? And people are booking meetings with me weeks, okay, in advance. In some cases, over a month in advance. And we are in bear market, okay? This chart right here is from October 2023. Okay, like incredible low interest globally in Bitcoin, and our demand is still skyrocketing, it's still spiking. And my encouragement is that if we have a bull run, if we have parabolic spikes such as this, where Bitcoin goes rapidly upwards in terms of price, if we have these periods of time, okay, transaction fees are going to spike. Okay, exchanges are going to halt withdrawals. Okay, people are going to panic. They're going to smash by any price. Okay, it's going to be increasingly difficult to have any time with people to help you in your self-custody setups. So first and foremost, whatever you do, whether you work with me at the Bitcoin Advisor, whether you go somewhere else, whether you figure it out on your own, whatever the case, please start figuring out self-custody. Hot wallets, cold wallets, cold wallets, single sig, multi-sig, whatever you do, just start figuring it out now, because I'm increasingly alarmed by the number of Bitcoiners that do not have self-custody. So please, if you have any Bitcoin self-custody, but especially if you have a large amount of Bitcoin in self-custody, please start taking this stuff seriously, because it's only going to be increasingly important in the future. And so, if you'd like to work with me, if you'd like to hear my opinions, perspectives, and ideas on this topic, you can find me at the Bitcoin Advisor. This is precisely why I work at the Bitcoin Advisor, because I believe this is such an important topic here, okay? You can find me there. You can have expert guidance on how to self-custody Bitcoin, to buy, secure, and store it properly for the long term. We can have tailored strategies for you, what your long-term vision is, both for yourself, your own individual future, your retirement, and for your future generations as well. Again, multi-sig vaults, estate plans, all these things for you. Okay, you can just book a free meeting with me here and the link down below in the description. Again, the first consultation is completely free, where we can talk about your priorities and see if there's a value add both for you and for the Bitcoin advisor as well. And again, our goal is to help you have generational wealth for you and your loved ones and your children without losing sleep. Okay. And that's why not only do you get a free initial consultation, but you have dozens and dozens of pages of education about multi-sig, self-custody, how to store your Bitcoin properly, things to avoid, things to pursue. Okay. Again, dozens and dozens of pages of free education for you to be learning about this increasingly important, increasingly urgent topic. Okay. And then you can learn further about the Bitcoin advisor and why we provide much more value for half the cost of our competitors. You can learn about all this and more in that link in the description, where you can book a free consultation with me at the Bitcoin advisor. So again, whatever you do, whether you work with me at the Bitcoin advisor or you try to figure out on your own, please just start taking action now. Because in a couple of years, higher and higher net worth people are going to be entering the space and demanding self-custody. Okay, more and more companies, more and more charities, more and more pension funds, more and more churches, all these things, all these groups of people, all these entities are going to be coming into Bitcoin very quickly, and they'll be willing to pay the transaction fees. They'll be willing to pay whatever fiat price and get for their sats. They'll be willing to do the self-custody as fast as possible. And so my encouragement to you, again, I'm glad you're enjoying these videos. I really appreciate you subscribing and commenting and being a part of these videos and increasing your Bitcoin education. But please, please, please do not stop at the end of this video. Immediately after you watch the end of this video, please start taking your self-custody seriously, whether that's with me at the Bitcoin advisor, again, link in the description, or it's on your own. Whatever the case, please just do it. I talk about all the time about how money is inherently a value statement, right? And having Bitcoin is not just important for your well-being and your being able to survive in the future, but if you want to make a value statement in the future, that you have to do that. I haven't seen you talk about time locking. You know, with what you're saying about having, you know, this opinion in the future, what I would call a value statement, whatever, we're talking about the same thing. Have you thought at all about time locking or the significance of that? Like, you know, what if you send let's say you have that one Bitcoin and you send it into the future 80 years when the block reward's like, you know, a few thousand sats or whatever, right? Have you thought about that at all? Like, do you think time locking is going to be a component of that kind of future influence, where people want to have opinions and influence on the future?
Maybe. I mean, in the future there might be, charities or things that people want to help that you can time lock into the future. Some Bitcoin right now that can drip feed that Bitcoin to them. Or maybe you want to set up an inheritance for your children, and you set it up, and then basically, every 6 months or every year it suddenly drip feeds some Bitcoin into their portfolios from what you've held. Like that's all cool. But as far as like, do I want to set up a time lock? No, I think that's all, it's cool for now. It's cool to do. It's cool. It's interesting that we can do it, but I don't think that's relevant. What's more relevant is getting people to one Bitcoin, understanding that getting to one Bitcoin is the mission, because my ultimate time lock is my brain, right? I understand that I need to hold this asset. If you're a moron and you can't, help yourself but spend the asset, well, then maybe you need a time lock. But anyone who's actually sensible understands they need to hold the asset.